Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. My name is Gadi Shiftan. I'm Haifa CRF Marketing Manager on Release Fertilizers and macronutrients. So the webinar today will be talking about efficient plant nutrition with Multicote Agri. Multicote Agri is one of the biggest family of products that we have in Haifa Group, in CRF business, and it's the direction we want to develop furthermore, and we will see what great opportunities it's hold for us. So we will talk about efficient plant nutrition. First, we will describe what is it and how it works, and then about Multicote Technology. I will explain how it works. What is Multicote Agri, and how it's been providing efficiently nutrient to the root zone, to the plant. How to apply it's very important. And for dessert, we will have some proven benefits of a few trials that we did. So this label of efficiency is something that you all know. You all know it from the automotive machinery and for the vehicle advertisement, but also for each and every electric appliances that you have at home. It's for these machines or these tools, it's very obvious how they measure the efficiency. From plant nutrition point of view, it's a little bit more complicated. So I don't have the gauge here, but I believe that by the end of this presentation, you by yourself will be able to place Multicote Agri somewhere in the green zone between A and B. Some of you maybe see, I will accept it. Because again, it's something that is quite hard to measure. But I believe we will get there at the end of the presentation. So what is efficient plant nutrition? Basically, the idea is to fulfill the crop nutritional requirements throughout the whole crop cycle. So the crop cycle can be very short for some vegetables. It can be very long for some fruit trees. The idea to have the right composition, the right rate, sorry. Yeah, the right rate, the right timing, and the right placement. The idea is to minimize losses to the environment. And this is a huge impact on the environment, and we will see how. And of course, to have it on a convenient way to practice it. Efficient plant nutrition, with it, we will achieve better crop performances, we will preserve resources, and protect the environment. This is a diagram of nutrient availability in the open field crops, such as potato. It can be wheat, corn, or whatever. And this is the gray graph is the commodity fertilizer being used. It can be urea, ammonium nitrate, ammonium sulfate, and so on. And the yellow one is Multicote Agri. So basically, right around the seeding or planting time, we will have the first commodity fertilizer application. Now, normally it's in the soil preparation or while seeding for the most sophisticated growers. But anyway, the availability is dropping. Why? Because some of the nutrients been lost to the groundwater, some lost to the atmosphere, and I will describe later exactly how it's happening. And because of the low availability, at some point we have to apply again. Now, when we have to apply again, we have to go into the field and we have to apply the machines, the tractors, and so on. And the availability after that is dropping again, and some other application might be needed. Here we have 3 applications. I would say normally it's right, it's quite correct. It can be more or less. Sometimes it can be 2 applications, sometimes even 1 application, but normally it's more than 1. With Multicote Agri, we have single application at the soil preparation or at seeding, and then we have availability throughout the whole crop cycle. The crop cycle can be for vegetable few months, but it can be also for fruit trees, like for 1 year or even 16 months sometimes. And how does it work? Let's talk about Multicote Technology. Basically, we have the controlled release, in the controlled release fertilizer, we have, this is an NPK granule. In Haifa, we can have also as a urea granule or MAP granule or potassium nitrate granule that is coated with very thin layer of polymer. Now, how thin it is? What you can see here in this scanning of Electron microscope, that this is the granule here, and it's been coated. This is the coating. So it's roughly, you can see by this scale here, it's roughly 25 micrometers in the thickness of it. Now, after the granule, the capsule is placed in the soil, with the first rain or irrigation, water begins to penetrate through the coating and dissolve nutrient inside. This is the first stage. It can take a few days. On the second stage, now dissolved nutrients are diffusing through the coating into the root zone, and we have nutrient availability for the plant. And fresh water keeps coming into the capsule and dissolve more nutrients. And just as long as we will have solid granule inside the capsule, we will have availability of nutrients diffusing all the time at the root zone directly to the roots. At this stage, the release is constant. At the last stage, all nutrients have been dissolved in the capsule, and now the concentration is slowly going down, dropping, and some nutrients is still diffusing out, but the rate is now getting lower. This is the last stage. If we put it on a graph to see the whole stages together, so we have the lag stage here. This is the first stage, that water just penetrating into the capsule. Then we have the linear release, the constant release. Now I will pause here for a minute to explain. This is very important. From the y-x, I would say, till the end of the linear stage, this is the actual release, And so the longevity, meaning how many months would it take to release to get to this point, it can be different. We have product for 2 months release, for 4 months release, 6, 8, 12, and sometimes even 16 months of release. So that's why we don't have a scale here. Now, at the last stage, one more important remark. We're talking about longevity. We're talking about 21 Celsius degrees or 75 Fahrenheit. And at the last stage, this is a decay stage where everything was dissolved inside, and now the concentration is dropping. So now we have the whole stages of release. The only thing that derive the release rate is temperature. Besides water, of course, that we must have is temperature. So when temperature is going up, the release rate is accelerated. And so the longevity, how much time it will take to release all the nutrients, is getting shorter. And the other way around, when temperature is going down, the release rate is slowed down and the longevity is growing. So for a product of 6 months, in high temperature, it might be 4 months. And for low temperature, it might end up as 8 months. So after we talked about Multicote technology and what is efficiency, now we will describe what is Multicote Agri. Multicote Agri, as you can clearly see, this is a physical blend of coated nutrient. This is the brown granules that you see here. This is Multicote distinctive color, by the way. And it's blended with what? With uncoated material. Here, in this case, it's uncoated urea. This is a blend of coated urea with uncoated urea. And this is the blend. And what we can do, what we can adjust in our blends is to have different composition of NPK, different longevities. Okay, we can play with it as well, according to plant needs. And the percentage of coating, meaning how many brown granules do we have compared with the white granules we just seen before. Okay, this is the percentage of coating. By this adjustment, we can suit to any crop, soil type, or climate. Now, I want to zoom into soil type and climate in this next slide. Basically, we're understanding and we know to explain that for different soils and different water regime, we need different coating percentage in the blend. What we have here in this table is a recommendation for coating only nitrogen. We have it also for potassium and phosphorus, of course, but here it's to simplify it, I brought only nitrogen. And this is the recommendation that we have for what is the percentage of coated material inside the blend that we recommend to have on different soils. So when the soil is very light, we would recommend to coat a higher percentage, to have a higher percentage of coated material in the blend. And when the soil is heavy, we will reduce this the coated percentage because of the properties of the soil, basically. I won't go too deep into this. On this axis here, we have the water regime, meaning when it's acidic conditions, when it's very dry, we will use only 50% coated. But when it's very tropical wet, maybe I would say even wet season tropical, to be precise, we will have higher rates of coating recommendation. Now remember, these are recommendation only for open field crops. When we're talking about other other solutions, such as for young fruit trees that we're just planting, the recommendation will be to apply 100% coated material in order to protect and to keep the sensitive parts of the plant or the young plant without any risk. What you see here, it's a recommendation, but always consult with Haifa specialists before you apply anything like that to any crop. Always consult with us. Now, with single application of Multicote Agri, we have multiple benefits. We feed plants according to the needs. We improve nutrient use efficiency and allow reduction of application rates. I will demonstrate it later on. With single application, we save labor and time. This is obvious. And it applied independently of the irrigation system. I want to stress this furthermore. For example, for avocado crop here in Israel, our winter is wet, and normally at the winter we have also some few weeks of sunny conditions. And then, as you know, with subtropical trees, they still produce, they still work, and so they need nutrients. So sometimes we can see for plots that that fertigated, we can see some nitrogen deficiencies in the winter, because even if they choose to fertigate, it's inefficient. And so with plots that we have Multicote Agri, we don't see any kind of these deficiencies in the winter. This is one thing where it's working very, very well, independently of the irrigation system, as mentioned before. Now, well, this solution is also a sustainable solution. I will explain how, and I will give you some numbers. And we always must keep it as cost-effective solution as plant nutrition. I will explain this too. So, for which crops, you may ask yourself, for which crop can it work with? Well, basically the answer is any crop. Vegetables, arable crop, fruit trees, strawberries, forestry, you name it. You can come to us with more ideas, but any crop can work with Multicote Agri, and we see huge benefits. The application method, it's very important for me to stress this point and to explain this. As mentioned before, the release for the release, we must have water in the system. So the soil moisture must be above 40% for Multicote to operate, and the granules must be incorporated in the wetted zone and be covered with soil. It's very important for effective work of Multicote technology. For instance, for sown field crop, we will apply in a row below on the side of the seed line, seed row, I'm sorry, exactly where the root zone is soon to be. For planted field crop, we'll have a similar location, exactly next to the root zone, and it's very, very effective. As for fruit trees, for young fruit trees, for example, for this, this is describing a subtropical crop like avocado or mango. The application is after planting, on the side of the tree, at the wetted zone, the depth of a few centimeters, as you can see here. What we don't see in this picture, it must be covered with soil to be effective. And for established trees, we have a similar solution. It can be done by hand. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of labor, because we need also higher volume per plant. Normally, we will have a blend of also uncoated material inside, where here we will have only coated material to be safe. So this application of fertilization of CRF, as mentioned before, it's heartbreaking for labor. And this is why we came up with this new solution. It's a mechanical applicator for Multicote Agri, produced by ID David. It's a Spanish company that expert in building agricultural equipment. and we have this agreement with them. Look for this, ask your Haifa persons in your territory to get more information. Okay, so we described what is Multicote Agri. We learned in which crop it can be worked and how to apply it. It's very important. And now let's see how it's been efficient. The idea is to have a reduction of applied nutrients per area. And then reduction of fertilizer application. We understand why now. We're ensuring precise nutrient ratio for the crop. And keeping same or higher income in terms of yield or quality. To put it on this kind of a graph, if this is the conventional fertilizer and this is Multicote Agri, for conventional fertilizer, the application rate normally is higher and the yield is yield. With Multicote Agri, we have less of a application rate, is smaller, and normally the yield is similar or better. In the bottom line, with higher yield, lower application rate, this is better nutrient use efficiency. And one of the key elements is how we work with temperature, how Multicote Agri technology work with temperature. So when the temperature is going down, the longevity, the release rate is slowed down. When the temperature is going up, the release rate is accelerate. Just like what? Just like plant works. So plant that enjoying lower temperature will also enjoy low availability of nutrients compared with hot temperature, with warmth and temperature and faster growth. So we have a very good match between Multicote Agri and the plant needs, Multicote Technology, I would say, and the plant needs. In this slide, I would like to go over the environmental impact of nitrogen application, nitrogen fertilization in the open field. There's been claimed that agriculture is one of the biggest polluter of nitrogen to the atmosphere in the world, and I will demonstrate how it works. So basically, when we are applying commodity fertilizers such as urea or ammonium sulfate and so on, of course, they need to be produced in the plant, which means energy consumption, emission, and waste. This is obvious. And then most of the use of the users is inefficient. It's simply inefficient because of many elements. So some of the material will be leached to groundwater as nitrate. Some will be volatilized as ammonia to the atmosphere. And because of these losses, and some of it, I'm sorry, will go also to the plant, of course. But because of these losses, we will need to have another application, and sometime even another one. So this is the meaning of inefficient. Now, about ammonia volatilization. For nitrogen gases such as ammonia are 300 times more effective, with a negative effect, of course, as greenhouse gases than carbon dioxide. Again, nitrogen gases are effective 300 times more than carbon dioxide as greenhouse gases. With Multicote Agri, we have nearly zero of these kind of losses, and mostly everything goes to the plant needs for growth, for uptake, for yield production. It's very, very important. It's very, I think this is a very important slide to that demonstrates this. So based on this, we did some calculation, because we can save up to 50% in the field of the application of nitrogen. Here I'm focusing again on nitrogen because this is the most elusive element of the NPKs in the open field. With Multicote Agri technology, we have nearly zero losses. Nearly zero losses. And so you can calculate that in 2019, losses of 6,500 tons of nitrogen were saved from the environment. In our crops only, in Europe, okay? 6,500 tons were saved of nitrogen, was saved from the environment. This is big numbers, and I think it's very interesting to understand this. As I promised, for dessert, we will see some proven benefits, from 3 trials that we had around the world. The first one is on corn from Bulgaria. What we have here is the treatment, the application, the total nitrogen were applied, and total fertilization cost, the yield, and the net income. In this trial, you can see that we had single application opposed to 2 applications of the farmer. We had only 50% of the nitrogen, 50% less of the nitrogen. We gained 11% more in yield. That was translated to 15% higher income for the grower. Now, if we divide these numbers of net income by the nitrogen units being applied, we've seen actually 240% better nutrient use efficiency. 240% better nutrient use efficiency. This trial from Israel, on garlic. The table, again, is built in a very similar way to the other one that we saw before. We had a single application opposed to 2 applications of the farmer. 40%, 43% less nitrogen. We gained 7% more in yield, and was translated to 11% higher in income. And if we do these numbers again, divided by the nitrogen application, we had actually 200% better nutrient use efficiency. 200%. The last example will be from Australia on potato. Again, this is a single application opposed to 2 applications. Low rates on nitrogen phosphorus, not on potassium. This is true. This is because we in Haifa have understanding of the importance of potassium also for potatoes. And indeed, we had higher yield. You can also get some we have some nice picture to demonstrate. These were 2 sites of this trial. And so you see the large potato, the medium, and the small potato. This is with Multicote Agri and with farmer practice, and Multicote Agri and farmer practice. Okay, this is, I think it's the pictures speak for themselves, but we have it also on the graph, 25 and 31% better yield than the farmer practice. So I'm going quickly back to this graph. We have less, we applied less, and we got more. For the bottom line, we have better nutrient use efficiency. This is the name of the game with Multicote Agri. And by the way, we have a similar product in Europe called the cotton mix. It's very similar. It's the same idea. It's the same technology. And I have to mention it because many of the viewers are now in Europe. And to summarize, we have efficient nutrition. This is a must in the modern agriculture. We see it mainly in Europe, but also in places like California in the States. Multicote Agri feeds plant according to the needs. We must reduce application rates because of what I just explained. We can minimize losses. We are minimizing losses actually, and gaining better yield. And Multicote Agri is suitable for a variety of applications: vegetable, arable crops, trees, as I mentioned before, you name it. And we saw some proven benefits as well. Actually, this is all for today, and I'll be glad to answer some questions, Josh.
Yes, we have a few questions. One is to clarify what is the trigger, what is the master trigger in the soil, if it's soil capacity. You said it's 40% from field capacity?
The water content in the soil must be above 40% for Multicote to operate. But you know, this is also what plant needs to have in order to grow. So without water, there's no plants and there's no activity of Multicote.
Okay, other questions about what formula you use for corn for usually?
So this is a very tricky answer because
question, yes.
I will never recommend a specific formula. It's very much depend on the local conditions. This is why I would recommend to contact your Haifa contact nearby, because you saw we have different recommendation based on the local conditions, and we have different formulas in different areas. We had a few weeks ago by Daniel Farago, we had also a webinar. Maybe you can have a look also in in our website. I recommend to visit our website here, Haifa Group. You can see also the webinar of Daniel Farago on the CRF, the most effective formulation. You can find it there too.
Okay, thank you, Gadi. If somebody wants to ask now, he can unmute himself and ask if there's other questions.
George, morning. This is Raut from Pune, India. Gadi talked about nitrogen use efficiency. What about phosphorus use efficiency and potassium use efficiency?
So yeah, nitrogen is the most elusive element of the NPK. It transforms can start from urea to ammonium and then to nitrate. It can volatilize as ammonia. This is a very tricky element. That's why I was focusing on this, especially to the operative crop. As for phosphorus, normally the movement in soil is much slower. We do use, especially in acidic soils, we do use a lot of coated phosphorus. And as for potassium, we also have, Haifa is one of the important or the biggest provider of potassium nitrate. We have a good understanding of potassium need for the crops, and it's playing also a big part of a big role in our blends and solution with coated potassium nitrate as well. Especially for the late parts of mostly any crop. It can be flowers, it can be a fruit-bearing orchard, or it can be vegetables. For any type of crop, the potassium is very specifically important for the late stages.
Okay, we have another question about what the cost compared to water-soluble fertilizers.
So it's in everywhere it's different. In everywhere we need to do this calculation from the beginning, and I recommend to contact again. This will be most of the answer will be to contact the local Haifa employee next to you. And I must say again, all the recommendation that you saw, or partial recommendation, based on the best of our understanding, but it's very general, and you have to contact professional Haifa representative to get the best and the right recommendation. But to compare with the fertigation, I'm sorry, normally we don't compete with fertigation. Normally we are competing with granular.
Other question is regarding seeded onion, if it's possible to use it together with seeded onions.
Yeah, for sure. We have growers in many parts of the world that we... Sorry?
Yes, Michael wrote that he used.
True. One of them is in South Africa. I know in Spain. I know in Israel. We do having this kind of use broadly, for sure.
Okay, I think it's...
sorry, Gadi, it's Jules here from Australia. We're probably putting twice as much nitrogen on in a corn crop than you guys are in that trial in Bulgaria, which is a big cost, obviously. What sort of advances do you think we'd see here in our environment with high rainfall?
Yeah, so it's depending on the area. I mean, if you're talking about Australia, high rainfall, I'm guessing it's the northern part. And so, yeah, normally, especially with corn, it's
sorry, mate, we're in Queensland.
Queensland, okay. So again, this is it's kind of tricky. Normally, we use a blend that only part of the nitrogen is coated, and so this is how we meet the right pricing, actually. And you're correct. In Bulgaria, I would say the numbers are a little bit lower than what we know globally, but due to the local condition, it worked. It won't work. That's why I stress, and I will stress it again. Do not try this at home by yourself. Always have Haifa solution from the local representative. Always.
Okay, somebody else. So thank you, Gadi, it was very interesting. And thank you, everybody. And come again to our next webinars. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Gadi.